Good evening. We can call the meeting to order and back in session. We were in a closed session earlier this evening, so we will continue to go and welcome everybody to tonight's meeting of the school board of the school district of Amery and our regular monthly meeting. We got a lot of things happening here tonight and a lot of guests. I'm guessing by the end of the night there won't be near. Yeah. You won't have standing room only. It's true. So first off, a couple of things that we'd like to do in our Spotlight in Education, and we've got a special achievement that we'd like to talk a little bit about, and I will send it over to Dr. Derfler.
Okay. So tonight we have a student, Dylan. This is your opportunity to come on up.
With me.
Dylan Clausen earned a highest possible ACT composite score of a perfect 36 out of 36. He's the son of Heidi and Dave Clausen. On average, less than 0.1% of students that take the ACT score a perfect score. There's only 2,200 last year out of 2.1 million graduates who took the ACT, got a perfect score, until we tracked down Darren's score from when he was back here in the 80s to see if he also scored a 36, which I'm thinking by his reaction he did not. No. This is our first and our only in the school's history, so congratulations to you, Dylan.
Yeah.
Certificate of appreciation. We love to acknowledge our state champions when they come by, and as far as we're concerned, this is about as big as a state championship for us. So congratulations, Dylan.
And if you don't mind, as a bigger picture, there are 92 test takers in this junior class. We had 12 students score over 30 with the 4 tests out there yet that had makeup exams, with a 13th and 14th possible. We will, when it's all said and done, probably be either first or second in the CISA and probably in the top 25 or 35 in the state for ACT scores.
Yeah. Well done.
So we'll know that by the end of summer, but very good. Great job.
Fantastic. And then
the cat's out of the bag. It doesn't mean we're going to the Twins game.
I heard. All right. Well, great. Congratulations to everybody. That's a team effort that makes those things happen. So, congratulations to the whole, not only to the school, to your school, Sean, but that all those things start back in Cheryl's school. So, yep. All right, so congratulations again. Now we get a little bit of musical entertainment here, I guess. I think Ms. Badman's in. She can maybe explain and talk about who we've got here today.
Yeah, I have two.
You want to grab the mic so that, so we don't get the calls that they can't hear us on cable.
I have two.
Got to turn it on.
No?
Can you hear me now?
Okay, now it's on.
Bingo.
I have two presentations tonight. We're going to start out with Allie Hoyer. She is singing a song, Someone to Watch Over Me. She will be going to state the first Saturday in May with this song. So she will be first, and then I'll talk about them when that next.
Do we just want to move that mic maybe in front, Mr. Benson or Mr. Derfler? What do you think?
Or
just somewhere.
Sing into it, or
I don't know. I don't think she needs to, as long as it's close and pointing towards her.
Oh,
Yeah.
So she needs it in the vicinity.
Yeah, I think so. We can probably turn our mics that way.
Yeah.
Probably would work better.
That would mix it up.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
I think. What do you think, Mr. Melberg? Is that going to work okay?
Well, she kind of roams around, though.
Okay. Then I will turn.
We've turned our mics too.
Okay. All right.
There's a saying that says that love is blind. Still we're often told, seek and ye shall find. So I'm going to seek the certain that I've had in mind.
And then these guys, I'm sure they'll tell you they were shortchanged, but they did a very, very nice job on, and they have a really fun song. And when they did not advance to the state level, but they did a great job at district, and they are quite entertaining in many ways. And anyway, they're going to sing a song from South Pacific. I don't know. Well, could they line up behind you? Do you think, or
We can go up here.
Why don't we go to here?
okay? I'm sorry. This is a major.
No, we'll walk back in the.
Okay. All right. If they do that, then guys, just stand right here in front of the table. Then they're going to move. Come out here. So they're singing a song called "There's Nothing Like a Dame." Okay, I will have. Jake, can you do your sound like the introduction like you did at contest? We'll pass it down. Introduce yourself. And since they're near and dear to some of your hearts, I thought this was a very appropriate thing to make happen.
All right. Well, I'm Dylan. I'm Chase Miesner.
Jacob Kostanek.
Brett Forrest.
Zach Swenson.
Brett Swanson.
Ryan Blarkham. Sam Fernando.
Bennett Helly.
Irving Saavedra Sanchez.
And today we will be singing There's Nothing Like a Dame.
It's from the musical South Pacific. Are you ready, guys? 1, 2, ready, go.
Dames. We got sunlight on the sand, we got moonlight on the sea, we got mangoes and bananas you can pick right off the tree. We got volleyball and ping pong and a lot of dandy games. What ain't we got? We ain't got dames. We get packages from home, we get movies, we get shows, we get speeches from our skipper and advice from Tokyo Rose. We get letters doused with perfume, we get dizzy from the smell. We don't get a lot, it hurts like. We got nothing to put on a clean white suit for.
What we need is what there ain't no substitute for.
There is nothing like a day, there is nothing like a day, there is nothing in the world. There is nothing you can name that is anything like a day. We feel restless, we feel blue, we feel fair and gentle sex. We would like to feel the feeling of some arms around our necks. We feel hungry as the wolf felt when he met Red Riding Hood. But don't we feel, we don't feel good. Lots of things in life are beautiful, but brother, there is one particular thing that is nothing whatsoever in any way, shape, or form like any other. There is nothing like a day, there is nothing like a day in the world. There is nothing you can name that is anything like a day. There are no books like a day, no books like a day, and nothing looks like a day. There are no drinks like a day, and nothing thinks like a day, and nothing acts like a day, or attracts like a day. There ain't a thing that's wrong with any man here that can't be cured by putting him near a girly, womanly, female, girly, womanly, female, feminine day.
I know.
So,
I think they're going to probably record first.
okay.
And the other thing that we have.
Mr. Cook, did you just want to introduce? Sure. Yeah, because we'll just stay back here.
The other thing we're performing.
Thanks.
Ms. Sjogren, would you like to come up and introduce our Destination Imagination team?
I felt it all the way in Tennessee a few years ago.
Good evening. I am so proud to present the very finest improv team in the state of Wisconsin. To get a feeling of what these kids have accomplished, they are given at the very beginning of their performance a story prompt, and it's usually something absolutely wacky, out of control. Usually two parts to it that you'd never think of going together. And then they are given a stock character and a genre. And they have 3 minutes to plan and perform this skit. Then it gets switched up and they get a different stock character, a different genre. And then it happens again. So 3 skits in 9 minutes. They're going to give you full or a portion.
I think we'll go
2. Okay, 2. So you can see the 2 different kinds.
And then you can at least feel the pace of what happens when they have to start a second one.
Right.
It's the same story prompt for all 3 with the stock characters and the genres.
Yes. So prepare to be thoroughly entertained. This year's challenge is a little bit different. They actually have props, and they have a 13 by 13 by 13 inch box. I know this because I measured them all at regionals and state. And they can put anything they want in there to put into their performance. So with that, we will be amazed. No pressure.
Okay, we say, audience, are you ready? And then we will say, team, are you ready?
5, 6, 7, 8.
They're the girls in pearls.
We're the girls in pearls. They're the guys in the ties.
We're the guys in the ties.
We act. We sing. We dance.
We cry.
And what are we here for? DI.
Team, your story prompt is, the stock character has frogs in his or her pants and your bike tire went flat. You are going to have a stock character of a royal person, and you're going to do it in the genre of children's literature. Ready? Go.
You don't jump it out. Okay.
Okay. Let's read the book.
I'll read the book.
I think I should do that.
Okay. Okay, I think so. And then you.
Should we make a human prompt?
So the royal person is like, I have frogs in my pants.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll read the bike. Okay.
Allie?
Wait. Okay.
Okay.
Why don't you just narrate the whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so Allie and I will both be the bike.
Okay. So the tire went flat. Okay, so then what do you do to?
We can try to escape on bike.
Okay. Alright, we're at it. Okay, let's go.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, ready?
Enjoy.
Gather round, children. I'm going to tell you a very entertaining story about a royal person and an unfortunate event that happened to them.
Oh no.
There was once a young princess. Her name was Francesca. She had many toys, but the favorite of which was her bike. She would ride her bike all around the palace. But one day, something went wrong. She felt the bike stop. What happened?
Oh no! My wheel fell off and it broke!
Her bike tire had gone flat. How would she fix this problem?
Well, I can't touch a wheel. I'm too royal for that. Let me get my servant. Johnny, boy.
Yes, what is it, ma'am?
You must fix my tire.
Oh, it looks like it's flat.
The Johnny boy took out many of its instruments to try and fix the problem.
Okay.
But he did not know how to fix a flat tire. He even took out his pet frog to try and fix the problem, thinking that the frog would be able to patch up the tire. Unfortunately, the frog went loose. And Francesca felt something moving around in her pants.
My pants! There's something coming out of them.
Oh no! What is it?
Well, what have you done?
There was a frog. Oh my goodness. Somewhere in here. Sure. Quite sure.
Friend, I am the frog exterminator. I'm here to help. Oh, please! There's so many frogs in my pants. What I think you need to do. Time.
Better perform for a little while.
Sorry.
A little rocky.
All right, team, same story prompt. And this time you have an artist as your stock character, and it's in a Western. Go.
Okay, Western.
So tumbleweed.
Set the scene.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll be painting a picture.
So we're going to like more of an ending this time. Sorry.
Okay, and how did the frogs get in my pants?
They jump out of the painting. It's just so realistic.
Okay,
And
so
then-
a frog
and then-
on a cactus.
And then where does the bike come in?
How about there's
Instead of a
a
horse-
biker gang that comes up?
Oh yeah. Yeah, you be the
Old-fashioned bike.
and then I'll be on my horse. Wait, no. Someone else should be on horse because I was to be something else.
Okay.
So wait, you'll be the horse, and you'll be the tumbleweed.
Yeah.
And I'll just drive the horse in as well.
Okay, set the scene.
Okay, you hold this.
Okay, ready? Ready? Enjoy.
Oh, this is a nice painting, you see. I am painting a frog sitting on top of a cactus.
It's a foggy day today, isn't it?
It's quite windy.
It's a dusty day.
Windy, dusty.
Oh, there goes that Well,
Common around here.
I'm gonna go ride my bike into town and see what all this nonsense is
All right, well,
about.
I've got my horse. We're follow over
Ready?
there. Yes.
It's the first motorcycle in the West.
Why, yes.
What was that? Coming out of the painting? It's just so realistic. Ah! The frogs! They're jumping out at me!
Excuse
They're in my pants!
What in tarnation is this? What in tarnation is going on?
I have frogs in my pants!
There are no frogs in the desert. What are you talking about?
They came out of my painting. I'm just too talented.
Painting.
Yes, right here, of a frog on a cactus. But I guess the cactus was too pointy because the frog is now in my pants.
Around these parts, we don't paint, and we don't have no frogs.
No, we've got horses and this one motorcycle.
I say we just kick him out. He has no right to be in this town. All his shenanigans.
Yeah, and the paintbrush.
I think that this is time for a showdown.
Okay.
I'll be on my bike, and you're on foot. Are you ready? Wait, the tire went flat.
Oh no!
That's why we got horses around here. Here, take my horse.
Oh, here we go. Are you ready?
All right. And 5, 2, 1, go.
Oh no!
Oh, I think that the horse scared the frogs out of your pants.
Oh,
They're all gone.
thank you.
There were never any frogs.
I didn't know that horses ate frogs, but apparently.
Do a couple of you guys want to answer questions if they have any questions?
Yeah, we can answer questions as we're filling out our boxes stuff.
We'll try to make it quick. Yep. Anyone have
Are there
any
any
questions for
questions?
them?
I think it was pretty self-explanatory. Well, we do a lot of practicing at the competition. Well, at the competition, one of us has had a watch that can keep time, so that we can tell exactly. We try and do So we have 3 minutes, and we're allowed to allocate how much time is spent planning and how much time is spent presenting. So we usually do 1 minute planning and 2 minutes presenting. But yeah, you kind of have to get a feel for it after a while.
I practiced a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
I play with it a lot.
Sometimes it goes under, sometimes it goes over. We didn't even really use it at regionals or state just because if we practice enough.
Yeah, we kind of
to watch.
forgot to watch. We really
comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that way it's even more improv, you know? Thank you so much.
Are you going to globals then? Is that?
Yes, we're going to Globals.
So where is it at?
It's in Knoxville, Tennessee.
And when?
It's May 24th through the 27th. So we are driving down there, and then we're going to compete against probably 50 other improv teams from around the nation, and even some from other countries as well. I think there's
I think we heard there's about 40 different nations that come, and most of the states are represented.
We're doing a lot of fundraising for this trip.
Eating
So
a
stay tuned
pancake breakfast.
at Geronda Lutheran Church on May 7th. So you should come to that. And we have so many other ones.
Many
Bake
others.
sales.
Bake sale at Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So many. So if you see them around,
Support us. Because we've all been in DI throughout the years on various teams, and Allie and I, along with Katie and Benson, have been on a team for quite a few years doing improv since 6th grade. But Isaac and Jack are new to improv this year, and this is the first year that we're going to globals after so many years of trying so hard to get there. So we're really proud, and thank you so much for supporting DI and everything that we do.
Learn how to sing Rocky Top when you get to Tennessee. Yeah, I paid my bills in Knoxville. No, but when Dana was ready to throw Rich Schultz off the bus before we hit Deer Park, it was not, we were not very good examples.
It doesn't take a bus ride for that.
Yeah, no, it was Deer Park, Four Corners, we were ready to go.
Yep, can't get in. Oh. It's quite unfortunate that we cleared it. All of the good stuff's gone now, or?
Just like my Sunday school class, when I start talking, it clears the entire
It's like,
church.
The important people, there you are.
Oh yeah, thank you. Our troopers. All right. Well, that was good.
Yeah, that's very good.
Really good. Really, really good. So, thank you to everybody for adding some excitement to our night here.
Yep. And congratulations.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, lots of great arts
I can't get in.
here. So let's move ahead and get rolling with our consent agenda items.
Oh, I had the vouchers, and I'll make a motion to approve them.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Next, anybody signed up from the community to talk? Good deal. I didn't mean it that way. Good deal. Somebody's a little loud. Would that be me?
Yes, it was yours.
All right. Whoa. So, goodness. All right. Move on to our administrative reports. Mr. Cookta.
Okay, just a couple of notes. I had attended the WASPA conference, the Wisconsin Association of School Personnel Administrators, and there's some very good hot off the press information regarding DPI licensing and information I shared with our administrative team. If the governor's budget goes through as proposed, it looks like there will be no longer expiration dates on teacher licensure, and that's kind of a big deal. And then we also had a presentation by the creators of WeCan, which is part of the UW system, and it's where all of the, where pretty much all teachers apply on the WeCan system, and they've got a new website or new system for posting jobs, and I was able to get an update from that as well. Okay. Also, kind of big news, the referendum passed April 4th by a vote of 1,261 yes votes to 998 no votes, and We appreciate all the work that so many people did on that and the positive support from the community.
Okay. Anybody over administrators? Okay.
Just one reminder that the school district of Amery, specifically Leon Elementary School, is accepting registration for our 4K program. So that is open. Registration paperwork has been mailed out to families. However, if you haven't received it, please contact the elementary school office, and we will make sure we get that in your hands. Thank you.
Great. Anybody else? Okay. Final note, Mr. Cookton and I will be in Ellsworth on Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday to testify in front of the Joint Finance Committee. So I think Mr. Cook is going to talk about specific budgeting, talking about the education budget and how it relates to us here at Amery.
Yes.
And then I'm going to talk about the Motion 999, which is what they use to put non-budget items into the budget. Gave us a bunch of things like alternative licensing and all of that last year in the middle of a budget. So we'll report back what we find out. We get 2 minutes. Keith, I'll say it right now. Yes, I can talk for less than 2 minutes. Cover it for you. All right. Moving on to our informational update. Mr. Cook.
Nope, you forgot.
What did I miss?
Cheryl Wesley has Pupil Services.
Oh, did you have some? I'm sorry.
Oops. Set up here. Very good.
So I'm actually here to just report on the Pupil non-discrimination report. I was asked at the beginning of the school year by Mr. Cook to facilitate the process and complete the report. It's required once every 5 years. It's a requirement out of PI 9.06. So if you want to switch the slides. The first requirement that the district needs to look at is the number of components that must be evaluated. And I'll quickly go through what some of those are. So this committee needed to look at board policy and procedure, enrollment trends in classes and programs, methods, practices, curriculum, and materials used for instruction and assessment. We looked at disciplinary patterns such as suspensions, expulsions, pupil harassment, athletics and extracurriculars, scholarship awards and recognitions, and the district's effort to achieve quality of education opportunity and non-discrimination. And so that's right out of PI 9.06. The second requirement in that, if you want to go back, Dina, it's kind of confusing, is that we have to make sure that there's opportunities to include teachers, parents, administration, and people from the community in the report. And we'll talk about that when we get to the end. The last requirement is that there needs to be a written report. So you can move to the next slide. Okay. DPI stresses the importance of the report and the intent by referencing this, and I thought it was important to talk about it. And that is that the process should just be one that strengthens the district's commitment and efforts to fostering equitable and successful schools for all students and ensure all students are college or career ready for education or for graduation. So we really looked at quite a few different pieces of documentation, and we'll be happy to share those more in detail. Our sources for doing this particular report included focus groups of students offering surveys of students, the Student Belonging Survey, Youth Risk Behavior Survey. We looked at lots of pieces of information. We met with staff. We looked at staff perception surveys. We had many, many meetings among staff, especially in pupil services, and then also administrative staff. And then parent participation through strategic planning. Sue, I'm sorry, I have to go back and within the pupil non-discrimination report, you're going to find these recommendations. And I guess what I want to stress is The report that you have is really kind of the small version. This is the report that is the full and complete version. Mr. Cookta has a copy. So all of the things that are compiled, it would not be worthwhile to copy all of those pages. But if you wanted to look at specific pieces of information and where the recommendations come from, they're in this book, and it's made available to you. So again, in here you'll find the results of focus groups, of staff perception surveys, of all sorts of pieces of data that will be used to do an action plan. So recommendations for counseling: ensuring that the district at-risk plan is evaluated on an annual basis. You'll find the at-risk plan in this book. Review student data at a building level and develop building action plans based on identified needs. Develop an action plan based on the 5 most important factors identified by staff perception. Refine district-wide reporting systems. And what we're finding is that DPI, I think Dina would attest to that, they're asking for more specific information regarding gender, disability, et cetera. And so we'll look at that. Continue to develop and refine the district-wide system for identifying and addressing students' at-risk factors in each building. So that was one of the components. Looking at athletics, continue to encourage the participation of special needs students in athletics and organizations. Identify and address barriers that may interfere with student participation. Meet with advisors of organizations to share ideas on how to motivate students to join. Continue to monitor budgets and outside sources of support to guarantee equitable treatment. And then the athletic director should continue to maintain data collection on scholar athlete awards with regards to gender, race, and disability. Scholarship policies. School counseling office should continue to promote the availability of scholarships through announcement, newsletters, and postings. Continue to develop ways to encourage students to complete scholarship applications, and then just to continue to encourage students with disabilities to apply for scholarships. Under policies that we looked at, complaint procedures need to be further examined by the administrators and examine other ways to promote the non-discrimination policies. So basically, we feel like the school district is doing a very stellar job and really did not see issues as it relates to discrimination. But always, again, when you looked at that first statement as far as what is the purpose of this report, can we do better? We can always do better. And so we have some suggestions and things that we believe need to be discussed. My recommendation today is that we post on the school website the report that you have right now. That would give the community and parents and other staff about a month to take a look at what the findings were. And then at the next board meeting, or perhaps June board's meeting, we would look to you for approval of the report. So, any questions or?
I think we can do that next month.
I just want to mention, I want to commend Ms. Wesley and the administrative staff and all the staff that worked on this monumental report. It was a huge task, and it was a job well done. We will look further at the data, by the way, in the future.
Yep. Thank you very much. Okay, now we can go on to our informational items. Mr. Cook,
okay, we've pulled together an enrollment report. So you see enrollment, current enrollment at the beginning of the school year was just a few more than this, 1534. And we do a third Friday in September count. Then there's a second Friday in January count that is used for financial calculations for the district. This is actually current enrollment, and you can see it's pretty steady. Of course, it's not all the same students. Some students do come and go, and some go and then come back, and some leave. You get the picture. But anyway, we have over 1,500 students currently enrolled. So I just wanted to give that updated report.
Does this include our online students? Or,
is this is Power School? So this would be all online students as well. Okay, next we have our strategic plan update as promised to the board. And our fifth, I believe, and final committee of the strategic plan is Student Achievement and Technology, which are co-chaired by Ms. Schock and Mr. Whalen. Wallen, sorry.
Clint and also Brian Melberg are going to help with our presentation tonight. So we have Student Achievement and Technology. And just to start off with, I am going to read the actual strategic goal so you have an idea of what all of our measurable objectives and action steps, what we're trying to accomplish. The students at the School District of Amery will demonstrate academic success as well as college and career readiness through a continuum of diversified academic opportunities encompassing real-life opportunities and alternative ways to demonstrate success. So that was our overarching goal. And we have 3 measurable objectives. The first measurable objective is to better prepare pre-K through 12th grade students for life after high school. The school district will increase the number of students who enroll in and complete the requirements to obtain credentials in transcripted credit, increase the number of students participating in AP exams to exceed the Middle Border Conference average, increase access to work-based learning programs, entrepreneurships, and STEM programs through the number of students participating by June of 2020. So tonight we're going to update you to as what we have done so far. I will start just briefly. This year we had at the intermediate and elementary school, we were we have EIE kits that were purchased, and those are engineering is elementary, really hands-on STEM-like kits that we're using at both buildings. And then also what we put on the back burner for next year to look at is Project Lead the Way, which is a program that starts at middle school and then goes into high school. So we did not do anything with that program. So that's upcoming. And then I'm going to turn it over to Brian, and he's going to talk about the high school.
All right, as part of this is the survey that we got back. There were a couple of things that the survey told us, and that was, number one, that people wanted to see students have opportunities to gain college credit while still here in Amery, and also opportunities to be out in the workforce. So with that in mind, the committee looked at 3 areas, and that's advanced placement classes, transcripted credits, and then the work experience that we do through our business department. So as a group, we came up with some suggestions for those 3 areas. We start with the advanced placement classes. One thing that we do well is we consistently rank towards the top in pass percentage in the Middle Border Conference with our AP classes. But up until last year, we were towards the bottom in number of test takers. So those that took it did well, but other schools were getting more kids to take the test. So we started to look at areas that we could potentially change that. And there's 4 or 5 areas that we came up with. The Social Studies Department is looking at offering AP Psych. We went to all the other conference schools to see what they were doing to get more kids taking tests, and every other school was offering AP Psych and getting somewhere between 30 and 60 students. And so we are looking at implementing AP Psych, not next year, but the following year, in hopes that number alone right there would put us towards the top, if not at the top of the conference, the number of kids taking tests. We also have a number of advanced classes that we already offer at the high school that are not AP. So potentially looking at the possibility of changing those to AP. And those are advanced chemistry, college prep, advanced stats, and then Spanish 5 and French 5. There's AP offerings in each one of those. So just something for the departments to look at to see if they would consider changing those to AP classes, and that would up the number of test takers as well. The last thing we did, Mr. Derfler's already done this with the AP test in order to maybe help our pass percentage a little bit. There's a grueling task of filling out paperwork for these AP tests, and in the past, we've done it the morning of, which is a long, grueling day for students, especially students that are taking maybe 2 in the same day. So he set aside a day before May where these students will get all of that taken care of. So that's part of the plan too, which just makes that day, lessens the burden on the kids that day. The second spot was transcripted credits. Next year, we're going to offer, our business department will have 41 transcripted credits available to our students. The biggest issue that we found here, or our goal here, is to have all students who meet the criteria sign up for the transcripted credits. Currently, in talking with the business department, the issue that they're having is students as sophomores are taking these classes, but they're not doing the paperwork to get those credits. And the reason a lot of them aren't is they don't think it's going to apply to them. And then 2 years later, they say, oh shoot, I could have gotten credits if I had just done the paperwork. So the goal from the business department is they're going to try and get every kid that meets the criteria to do the paperwork. If they never use the credit, so be it. They never use the credit. But down the road, their plans change. They go to a 2-year school, and all of a sudden they could have had 3, 6, 9 credits available to them that they didn't do the paperwork on. So that's what we're going to do with transcripted credits. The last one is work experience. We currently have 75 students between work experience and youth apprenticeship that are actively involved in this program. We have 41 partnerships with businesses in the community, and our goal is to maintain this strong program through the CTE academies that are going to begin next year. Let's get, Lloyd, Laura's got something for us.
Number 2, action plan number 2, the school district of Amery will continue to provide traditional programming and increase access to non-traditional programming at all grade levels to meet the diversified needs of all students. So in order to do this, we have to make sure that we're training our staff. So we have been involved in a number of initiatives. As you know, we went to the PLC, the administrative team went to the PLC workshop. Last summer, we came back all charged up, and in each of our buildings, we have earmarked PLC work time for teachers to work, and then also identified one night after school for each of the 8 months, and we work K through 12 in district PLC. That was a huge undertaking for our district, and really it has turned out wonderfully. We only have just one more meeting left, and that would be in May. We brought in Chris Stratton, and she helped us to identify the work on essential standards, and so we've been working on that during the after-school PLC. We have been involved in many TEACH grant opportunities that were provided by CISA. We needed to apply for the grant, covers the sub and also the presenters. And so we are doing a lot of staff development in hopes of training our staff in these new programs. And the last one is the third goal, and I'm going to turn that over to Clint.
And that would be the technology side of it. And the district will expand and upgrade resources and access to technology for all students and staff. This will be accomplished through an annual review of curriculum and instructional technology needs, as well as reflective of best educational practices by 2020. We came up with 3 measurable steps in that. And number 1 is how effective is the current technology, and what is the student-device ratio in the buildings. And as far as effective, it says, are they working or not in the buildings? And there's been an inventory started, buildings are starting to take inventories in their buildings and which devices are working, which ones are not. The intermediate has finished theirs, and it's ongoing, the elementary, intermediate, and middle school as far as what's effective and what's the ratio in the building. The District Technology Committee has met several times in the past year, developing a purchase and replacement plan, and creating and continuing having building level tech meetings with the tech department. And the high school has been doing that quarterly right now, and we're going to start doing that with the other 3 buildings, so we're all on the same page. Number 2 would be develop a collaborative approach between curriculum and technology committees, and basically the tech department or the technology coordinator and the curriculum coordinator need to start talking more, because the curriculum is driving the technology now, and we have to be on the same page when it all ties together. And the last would be evaluate fiscal goals for maintaining and upgrading technology resources. And resources will be identified and budgeted accordingly. And passing the 2017 operational benefit referendum will add an additional $500,000 to the technology purchase and upgrades, and that's huge. It's a blessing. And that's it. Any questions?
Thanks for all that good work.
Yeah.
All right, budget projections and.
Okay, I have just, this is a good segue right into the slide that we have on, as you know, it's been mentioned, the $1.9 million recurring referendum was passed, and it's actually going to be 1.6 to 1.9 million because of the commitment the board made to not increase taxes above the current level. This is what we have so far, the numbers of devices, and what we're looking at. As Clint mentioned, we do have $500,000 that was dedicated toward technology through the referendum. With the additional current technology budget, we're looking at spending up to about $610,000 in technology. And as you can see, without that insurgence of the $500,000 technology budget from the referendum, it will be quite difficult to, well, we wouldn't be able to do all of these things for technology for the district. So
I just had a question on that. So do we have this now as a plan so we're not replacing 584 computers every 4 years? Are we going to have a revolving replacement plan that kind of spreads that out a little bit differently? I think that's one of the things we had kind of thought the last time we went through that.
The plan right now is a 3-year rotation.
Oh, so there is a rotation period? So we're not plunking everything in year 3. Are we doing this? Oh, we are? Is that really the only way we can do that?
Staff devices are needing upgrades because they're 4 years old. The student devices, to get the newer technology, the student science, they need to be upgraded.
Yeah, you should get a mic.
I guess just to...
Because I don't know, does anybody else have questions? I have a few questions.
Can we spread them out?
That's, yeah, so that's just my question is, so in 3 years, are we going to get hit again, or is there a way we can, and you may say no, there's no way to do that. So is there a way to do that more of a continual?
The way it's set up, and every 3 years we do a rotation, but it's a lease payment, so that's going to be our payment every 3 years.
Oh,
so
for how long?
Well, basically, if the technology gets better and cheaper, it'll drop.
Theoretically, it should, but we'll have new needs for technology in 3 years that we don't even know now. That makes sense.
So we're not going to save any more money.
That makes sense.
The district technology committee meets on the 24th, next Monday, and we'll make a recommendation to Jim, and that recommendation thereby to you for a device, which is going to be a 3-year lease. And then when that 3-year lease is up, to look at another lease, because who knows what technology is going to be in 3 years.
And that makes sense. The way Clint explained it out totally made sense in my head. Yep. I get it. Simple.
Okay, so regarding preliminary budget projections, we had, I'll remind the public that we have a projected $800,000 deficit. So even though there's a $1.9 million referendum, there was a projected deficit. So we're working to get more specific numbers and working to get that down. And we'll be bringing to the board the proposal for the final technology, curriculum resources, staff, and deferred maintenance and security items for approval. And to that end, I guess I'd mention at this point, within the next couple of weeks, we'd like to have request a special meeting that we have a presentation to the board of what those numbers would be.
Did you mention that you needed one ahead of time for, like, by what day? For some technology stuff?
Well, our hope would be that by the end of this month that we're able to...
well, the meeting's next Monday, so we should have a recommendation to you on that day. So, anytime thereafter.
So what does our schedules look like? I mean,
For
what
the
day-
25th?
My thought is you need to have you have a special deal from what I've heard that needs to be signed by such and such a time.
Yeah. We're just waiting for bids from other vendors.
So next week is the last week of the month. So we don't have a couple 3 weeks. We have basically a couple 10 days. A couple 13, 14 days. I mean, is there any days that are bad next week? Well,
what about maybe next Wednesday?
Monday or Wednesday works because there's no baseball games or anything else. I don't think those days. I don't know what your kids got going on.
Mondays and Wednesdays are usually Curry, Tuesdays are not.
But Monday's not going to work because you're not going to have a recommendation to us.
Well, actually,
They're going to have a meeting Monday.
Oh,
24th or 26th.
How does everybody else look on Monday?
I don't have my calendar with, but I'm sure I'd be fine.
Yeah.
We can arrange a time to whatever
Yep.
will work best for you.
Yep.
And you-
Send it out.
There you go. That was easy.
Monday, the 24th.
So that'll be to talk about mostly the technology end of it, right? And any other recommendations that you would have at that point in time that you need from us? Yeah, well, whatever. I just know there's some time-sensitive stuff. And then obviously, none of that stuff would be paid for until the next budgeting cycle, but it's just to ink the deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any board members that can't make either day?
Well, we were thinking Monday looked the best.
Monday or Wednesday, yeah.
Or Wednesday, yeah, either or. I think we're all pretty good on that. Does that help you out? Are you good on that?
Yep.
Okay. There, that was done. Just let us know. What else? Anything on the budgeting or? That was it? Okay. Then we can move on to our action items. First, we're going to talk about student accident insurance. Mr. Cook,
Okay, we have quotes that came back regarding student accident insurance, and there's a substantial increase. In fact, that's a considerable increase that the other company said that we don't even want our quote. The current year premiums are $16,392.
No, that would be an option.
Oh, I'm sorry, are about $18,000. And we looked at, next year's quote was $22,990. And so we looked at other possibilities. An option would be to put a cap on some of the services. And if we cap the services, for instance, surgical operations, a cap $2,500, and I provided for the board some other, the claims loss ratio for the past 6 years. The premiums basically went from about $15,000 2 years to $14,000 for 3 years, and then jumped this year to $18,000 after a very high loss ratio.
18 or 15? Well, I'm looking at the wrong.
This year, the premiums are $18,000, and the benefits paid so far are just
15. Yeah, okay.
Through March.
Through March, and this is a policy through June.
Yes. So it still has a few months of claims that can be submitted against it.
So the option, if we looked at setting a cap, would be, that would drop the $18,000 premium to $16,392. And if the board wants to consider this information further, there's not a need for an immediate answer unless you'd like to move forward with it.
Well, we can't vote on, it is an action item. So I think my opinion, well.
So we wait till Monday?
I don't know. My opinion is that we don't want to be chintzy on the insurance end of things. I don't want some kid to go out and blow out their knee and then not get what they need done because we have a cap on it.
But really quick, isn't this after what their insurance
Right.
doesn't pay?
This is considered a secondary policy. However, some families don't have insurance, so then it's been the primary. And in some of those cases, that's where we've had the very high expenditures for surgical needs.
Basically, the difference, the $22,990 is exactly the plan we have right now. And really, the only caps on it are called usual and customary, and so that's kind of an industry standard. There's no maximum. It's what's considered usual and customary. So when I spoke to Sonny Heinrich, our representative, he said, if that scares you or makes you want to think differently, he gave us that second plan, and he said that the other plan I gave you that shows you the $16,392 has some caps, and
Yep.
that instead of usual and
Right.
customary. So he just wanted to make sure we understood
Yep.
that we can have a choice or make some choices to still be able to offer student insurance. So that's the difference between the two plans.
The last two pages of your handout to the board, it does show the current year.
Right.
The second to last page
Yep.
on the previous year's actual claims.
So again, I don't want to be chintzy on this.
So we're talking about $7,000 difference, right? Roughly?
64.
From,
Well, you'd go 18 to 23. If you chose the other plan, you'd actually see a savings of 2,000.
okay.
What do most districts, what's the industry practice? Or the industry, what do most schools do? Do they offer it like we have it currently without the caps?
I don't think we have the data. We
Well,
have to research that a little bit.
I don't have the data. I do have a list of this. This is a list of the districts that student insurance works with right now.
But we don't know if they have
We
which.
don't know what kind of policy
Yeah.
they have. We just know they do offer something.
I just
Where would we
don't
fall
want to be cheap
short?
for
With-
$4,000. I mean,
With the medical costs rising, especially with the changes coming through, and the fact that at this point, a large majority of people are going to be having some type of insurance, I agree that I would prefer not to change it and to stick with the one that's what we have now. I know it's a little bit more than previous year, but it's going to happen when you have a couple high claims.
And the benefits, looks like they
Well, you got ambulance
Exceeded.
service.
I just don't want some kid blowing out their knee in 7th grade and not being able to, and when they're 40, still having to have a blown out knee because we were cheap on insurance. That's my opinion.
The one thing that the one policy, if you do put some caps on it, it will help you retain that experience and not, I mean, we, as Chelsea was just noting, we've always pretty much spent our premium or more, where the cap would allow us to maybe stay competitive and not see increases each year. But again, that's also, there's limits to what they'll pay. I mean, an ambulance service is usual and customary on our current plan. Here, it would be up to $250 that our policy would pay toward what was left after the ambulance service was covered under the primary plan.
What does anybody want to do?
And this is an annual review, right? So
Mhm.
we could.
In fact, I try to go out to bid each year. There aren't, to be honest, a lot of student insurance companies out there. We've kind of gone between two every year. Some years we've even switched every other year, just depending on who could get us the best rate. Unfortunately, our claim history, the other company hasn't been able to come in and give us a good rate. They're not willing to look at history like that. And student insurance has been very, very good to work with, so they've always come in competitively, so we've worked with them. This year, First Agency sent me an email after I sent him our history, and he said that underwriters said that the premium would be minimally $25,000 to $30,000. And the rep, John Greisbeck, basically said, I don't believe that that's worth your time or my time, because I don't think that's even close to something.
Yeah, that's like 13, that's like a double. This year's like $4,000.
Yeah, so
Is-
it was like we didn't.
It's $4,000.
I'm kind of leaning just to go with the same policy.
You want to make that a motion?
I'll make
Yeah.
a motion to accept the policy without caps.
Okay.
I'll
Is there-
second that.
All right. Does anyone want to discuss that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There.
I'll contact student insurance.
Okay. Spring election results. So we have the Board of Canvassers document. You have that, right? Did I give that back to you? That, well, you gave it to me in there, but I don't think I kept it. Did I? That's probably a big deal, isn't it?
That's why I gave you a copy. Do you want me to run it back?
I don't need it. I don't think. We don't have it up here.
I have the results.
You have, Mr. Cook just got the results. We don't.
Total of 1,919 votes for the incumbent, Keith Anderson, and there was a scattering of other non-registered write-in votes. And the referendum results were 1,261 yes votes and 998 no votes. So referendum passed by 56%.
So we need to have a motion to accept the election results.
I'll make the motion to accept the election results.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay.
I'd like to just mention, too, that the Board of Canvassers met on last Monday, and Dale, as school board clerk, served on that. Also, 2 seniors. I want to thank Mr. Melberg for getting 2 volunteers, Bryce Forth and Bethany Marquand, were both Board of Canvassers members, and then they were assisted by Twyla Sicking and Dina Babcock-Nassau.
Okay. All right, next, the oath of office. So normally we save the pop and circumstance for the first time somebody gets on, and then after that it's more like a head check.
Here we go.
So Keith can read his oath of office.
I, Keith Anderson, having been elected to the office of School District of Amery School Board official, swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin, and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability. So help me God.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you.
I don't think we need to do anything with that, right? All done? There's your action item. All right. Next, appointment of our CISA 11 representative, and I think that's a appointment by me. So that's been Keith, and I'm guessing you want to continue, or will continue, unless somebody else is like dying for it. We'll have an arm wrestling match. Okay, so we will appoint Keith as the CISA 11 representative. Meal prices, Mr. Cookta.
Okay, I want to introduce Ms. Nelson, our school nutrition director. She is here, and I want to explain, or I'll just explain. Do you want to explain the PLE tool?
Doesn't matter.
Okay, why don't you? And as you're going toward the mic, I'll just mention that it is a USDA requirement that the PLE tool is used, and it's a federal guideline. We have no choice over the price that is actually set. It's kind of a government overseeing.
It's not kind of a government overseeing. It's the government telling us exactly what we have to do and how we have to vote.
So I worked on the PLE tool. Basically, what it looks at is our number of meals that we had served that were just paid meals. So it's not looking at free and reduced at all in the month of October of this school year. And so those numbers are entered separately by each school because they are different rates. And what the PLE tool has determined is that we have to raise our lunch prices by 10 cents across the board. So with that, I know that we have unfortunately had to raise our prices for a number of years. And I did contact DPI, like I said I would, about possible exemption. With that, DPI wants us to look at our current funding balance, and they also want us to look at what our monthly expenses are. And so we looked at 2015 to 2016, and it is determined that our excessive fund balance isn't excessive enough yet to qualify for an exemption. So unfortunately, I'm the bearer of bad news, and we have to raise lunch prices. So currently this year, they are...
Back one more page. I'll just explain one more page.
Okay.
This information is loaded on board book. One more page where it says 10 cents.
Yeah, I think we've seen it.
Yeah, go back a page. Right there.
This tool is not very user-friendly either. Yeah, so right here. And I guess the main point of this tool, they want to make sure that our paid meals aren't getting the benefit of the free and reduced program. So that's what it is looking at. And
Are breakfast prices also, you mentioned one?
breakfast prices aren't included on this tool, but it is something that I'll have to look at. I don't, off the top of my head, I don't find the need to have to raise those currently. But it's something that I will have to look at too.
You know, just a while, and we had talked a little bit about this, and I know this isn't going to go where we talked, but we have a fund balance of $100,000 now sitting in our. I remember the days when it was in the negatives, and I know that one of the things that we can utilize that fund for is to purchase new equipment and better equipment within our kitchens and whatnot. Right? Are we also able to? And I'm not advocating. I'm just kind of thinking out of the box here, to utilize that to fund a portion of our lunch to encourage more kids, or our breakfast, to encourage more kids to have breakfast at maybe less of a cost than what we charge right now?
That would be something I have to look into, but off what I know, I don't think that that's a possibility.
Can I just chime in? If you were to scroll through that, there is an opportunity if you use non-federal funds, and that doesn't include your Fund 50 fund balance, it would have to come from general fund. You could subsidize some of that to mitigate having to raise those 10 cents, but it has to come from Fund 10. It can't come from Fund 50. They call it non-federal funds, and there is a calculator to show how much you would have to put in there from Fund 10 to help not have to raise your prices. And we've looked into that.
And there's just no way to make that happen?
Not really.
I mean, the benefit would be, in my mind, is getting kids that aren't eating breakfasts right now to come in and eat breakfast. But if it's not going to help us out on the other end.
No, Stacy and I have gone over this PLE tool, and for years I've always been the one sharing you the frustration with this and how crazy it is. So working with Stacy on it, it was just both of us going, this is crazy. But it's the USDA.
So they count money that is paid in by parents who are not part of the free and reduced, they count that as federal funds?
No, that is put in a deferred revenue account, which sits there and is waiting for those kids to use when they eat or not. Because when mom sends $50, they don't eat $50 in one day. It's sitting there waiting for those kids.
So in other words, what they're saying is that $100,000 fund balance that we have in Fund 50, right, is all federal money? Is that what they're saying?
Well, they're not saying it's all federal money, but a portion of it is deferred revenue. So it's not $100,000 of federal money. There's a portion you have to take out that's called deferred revenue.
Are you confused now?
It just frustrates me.
Yeah.
I know.
That's local control.
Yeah. It's just dumb. So that's become the choice word here, isn't it? It's not your dumb. It's federal government dumb.
I even
which
asked
is
it
mammoth proportions over what you and I could ever dream to be.
I know. I went to a conference making sure I understood, and I asked the DPI lady, I said, we really struggle with this. This is hard for our district when we have fund balance to be able to do that. And
I asked her if she wanted to come to the meeting and share this with you.
Yeah, of course not.
Of course
So,
not.
what are the creative ways that we can use Fund 50 fund balance for? Because we don't want to sit with a big fund balance in there. That's just, to me, that's just not
We've
right.
had some conversations about that. We can buy new equipment, we can buy stoves, ovens, steamers, that sort of thing.
Can you use it for even different types of choices for food?
Right now, the month of April, I brought a lot of new items in that are a little bit more expensive just because I want to give the kids good food.
Right.
And if I have this extra money and it just is going to keep piling up, I might as well give them a little bit better quality
Right.
than what they've been getting in the past. So that's something that I plan on
That's a
using
great
the
idea.
money for. A couple of other things that I've seen that are needed are transporting equipment like throughout the district because our middle school creates a lot of our meals and it gets transported to each school. So in order to do that, I feel that we should have the proper equipment. So just spending on that, updating some minor things that are needed too. Just going and seeing what we need to improve it for the kids.
Okay. It is what it is.
It's the same as last year and year before. Yeah.
It's just dumb. All right. So, do we get a motion to?
So it was 10 cents a meal. Is that right?
Just for
Cross
lunch,
sports?
right?
Oh, just
Not
for
for
lunch,
breakfast.
right, yeah.
Right now, our prices are at $260 for pre-K through 5, $285 for 6 through 8, and $290 for 9 through 12. So each grade would be up 10 cents from that. I tried to play around to make it because I feel really bad charging $3 for a meal, but
Yeah, it's not your
no
fault.
matter what way I plugged the numbers in, that's how it ended up having to be.
It's not your fault. Nope. Okay, so do we have a motion to raise the lunch prices? If we don't, we have to
we
anyway.
have to, so we don't have a choice. So
This is like youth options all over again.
I guess I'll make the motion to accept the new meal prices.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, there you go.
Did you stay for the second?
All right, so next we have a couple of policies that need a second reading. And the first one we're going to deal with is 760.1, the unpaid meal charges.
Okay, I'll start out just by saying the USDA does require us to have written policies, and the policy that was written here, there was good work done by our administrative team and led by Stacy in putting this policy together. It's essentially what is pretty much already done, and we just wrote the policy in order to make consistent implementation of the policy, which again is required by the USDA, of course, to have in place. And I will mention that the policy, this and the wellness policy, was sent to WASB attorney. It's still under review, so I'm going to ask that it be tabled for a future meeting. And it'll also allow us to have further discussion if there's any further need for it. So if there are any questions, I think Stacy's probably the best one to answer.
The only question I had is what's different in this than what we've been currently doing?
Currently, what we're doing that is different from here. So this new policy, I thought it would be nice. As a busy parent, you don't have time to look into your kid's lunch account every day. So instead of starting the phone calls when an account is already negative, we would start when the account is getting low to let them know, hey, your lunch account is low. Something to think about. And then we have we take every instance on a separate basis, but this is a general guideline that we follow. And we decided that instead of letting lunch accounts get extremely negative, we would kind of bring it down. So I believe we did, can you scroll down, Tina? Yeah, we changed it to -20 right now. We've been kind of letting it go to -40, -50. So we're just not being consistent. So we decided to lessen that number. Because if you have a larger family, it's harder to get out of a large negative number. So we thought it would be helpful. Other than that, there isn't much difference. And like I said, we are willing to work with families if they contact us and communicate with us. I understand that people have hardships, and it does say that in the policy as well.
I'll move that we table this.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay.
I had a question on one of the, well, can't see it anymore.
It's coming back.
When they're basically
down.
stricken from the school lunch program. Yeah, number 5. I mean, I guess I would be cautious to not do anything that would be considered lunch shaming, which is kind of a nationwide trend, and.
That became popular after this was written.
So that would be my comment on that, section 5. I mean, that really makes the student stand out and making the student suffer for something their parent is responsible for.
Anything else?
But I can speak to the high school. If we don't draw the line somewhere, you're going to have kids at $100, $200 in the hole.
Well, then you should do something else, like withhold transcripts or take away their parking permit.
We have withheld transcripts one time, and we got nobody shows up. I can do 3 things, though, and we do them at the high school. You can't park, can't go to prom, and you can't graduate. So we get their money in the end.
Yeah.
But we won't get it until the last week of senior year.
Well, I think that's what
okay.
Chelsea's recommending is that we look at all options out there.
But they're going to be potentially on the list for 2-3 years. That's possible.
I like that better than having Channel 13 show up at my school telling me that we're shaming kids that are going to lunch, which is what's happened in some other districts recently.
Borderline illegal.
So, I just.
Not now.
I think this is something that we certainly can review further. My experience in other districts has been that, yes, those debts pile up, and ultimately the only recourse the district has is to go to small claims court. We cannot prevent a student from receiving their transcripts or from graduating. They can be held out of the graduation ceremony, but frankly, prior to that, in each building, elementary, intermediate, middle school, those debts can continue to pile up, and we just hope that parents take the responsibility and do pay off the bills when they can. And we do recognize that sometimes people have hardships.
Well, I think it's. I mean, it's Sean's. To agree with Sean, I think in the end, to have people that are $300 in the hole.
Had that, but it could be.
No, but it's not fair to ask other people to bail that out, which is what's happening.
Maybe
that's not fair either. So the answer is there needs to be a happy medium in there somewhere that we're cognizant of the child who's not paying their lunch bill, not because of them, and not even. But I mean, let's be honest. In some cases, it's just because of inaction. It's not. It's easy, I think, to turn this into, well, they can't afford that, and I think that's where we really need to come in and say, let's find. But there's others that just won't take the initiative to A, apply for a free and reduced lunch, or B, just be responsible.
Right, and we work really, really hard with the families that are not on free and reduced lunch. And you consider that those are not the families ringing up the bills. It's the families that don't qualify or just won't fill out the paperwork. But we really are diligent trying to get them to fill out the paperwork if they would qualify.
I don't think it's anybody in this room's want to.
No, I would
deny
never
a
have
kid.
my staff take a
Right.
tray of food away from a poor kiddo. I mean, I'm willing to work with families as my main point, but well, I mean, I wouldn't pull a tray if they had a tray in their hands and say, "No, you can't have that."
Yeah.
I would never have my staff do that, and if I found out that my staff were doing that, I would not be very pleased.
In the way it works at the high school, we let them know ahead of before they even get to the lunchroom.
Yeah.
Just, well, by the way, do you have any money? Have you made a payment anywhere, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then if they listen to me and say, I don't care, I'm going anyway, then I'll pull someone out of the line with the lunch tray. Right. I mean, they've had a forewarning to do it the right way. Okay. And we'll work with them. I think we all work with them.
Do you spend a lot of time having to deal with this?
Not until recently. No, it's not really that big of an issue. Just every once in a while it seems to be. So
in essence, and obviously we're asking these questions because there's been some social media fallout. I mean, let's call pick up the elephant in the room here. But I think that, at least in my mind, a lot of that was really unfounded with information that wasn't necessarily correct. This really isn't more aggressive policy than what we've had, other than starting the phone calls a little bit earlier.
Yeah,
That's really about it, and putting it into writing. It's pretty similar to what we've been doing all along. So it just has never been in writing. So, but I think,
and we lessened the cap too of what we think is allowable, I guess, if that's
and I
something
think that's
that
where
needs to be addressed.
That's where we're saying that we need to maybe revisit that a little bit and say if what was working before, whatever it is, just take some time to explore it and give us another month, and maybe I think we'll all give the WSB attorneys a chance to look at it. And I think people need to occasionally have faith that we will do the right thing, because we usually do, as opposed to taking to social media with shaming the other way. So, all right. So we have a motion we have a request to table. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There we go. We'll table it for 30 days.
The next policy is the wellness policy. And that as well is with the WSB attorney. So I don't know if you need any further discussion, but I recommend that be tabled as well until we receive any feedback that way.
Okay. So,
Well, there's lots of.
We used a tool that is set out from the USDA to generate the policy, so we were sure that it met all of the requirements that they are mandating, because this is also mandated by the USDA to have these certain different things. So the footnotes are in there to give you the reference.
Those references are all listed at the end of the policy. Quite a lot.
okay. So can I get a motion to table?
I'll make that motion.
And a second? There's no discussion on tables, so all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There we go. Thank you. Thank you for your work on all that. It's been a tough week, I know.
So I'd like to welcome and thank Stacy Running from J Counter for waiting, for coming to our meeting and for waiting this long to present. We've met a number of times, I think since January or so, and we've had excellent discussions, and I want to thank Stacy for her good work with us.
Thank you for having me. Am I on?
Yeah.
It takes a minute. Here I am.
Even in person, thank you. So I am here today just to talk about some recommendations that we have based on discussions that we had with the team in the district office for your medical plan, staff medical plan, health and well-being for staff, and then dental, as well as just a reminder on your disability and lifelines. So you may recall when we partnered with Health Partners in 2015, we did have a multi-year agreement. We are in the middle of that right now. You're currently offering dual choice to your staff, so they have the option of participating in a traditional plan or a high deductible health plan that works in conjunction with the health savings account. For those that take advantage of that high deductible health plan option, the district is making a generous contribution to their account of $1,200 over the course of a year if they have individual coverage, and $2,400 if they have family. So the agreement that we had with Health Partners for the 2017 year is that you would have a rate cap of 9%. Your claims have increased pretty significantly over the last 12 months, and the calculated renewal was in excess of 18%, so that 9% cap is really doing well for you this year. Through additional discussion, what we were able to do is to work out an option where you could extend your agreement for one additional year in order to reduce the increase for 2017. So what we ended up with is an increase of 7% for the 2017 plan year and a cap of 9% for 2018-19. So the intent is that we'll renew with the 2 current plan designs. The district will continue to pay 88% of the premium for those employees that are working full-time and a prorated portion for others. That the district will continue to make the same HSA contributions, and you can see the overall financial impact to both the district and staff here on the bottom of the slide. Any questions so far? Okay, so another thing that we talked about, that we have been talking about over the course of a few years, is getting staff more involved in health and well-being initiatives. And the goal of having a health and well-being program is really to help the district become aware of what the risks are within your population on an aggregate level, so no individual member information is shared, but it would allow you to see as a pool, where are your risks? And then it would allow you to build programs to help identify those so that we can help people stay healthy. So not only are they more productive at work, but also it helps with your healthcare costs. So one of the recommendations that we're making is to implement a health and well-being program. This would give your staff the option, or the opportunity, I'll call it, to complete a confidential health assessment online, and would also give them access to some well-being programs. And for those employees that did take advantage of the assessment and the program, they would earn a preferred benefit. So they will be working during the 2017 plan year in order to have a preferred benefit in 2018. For those that choose not to participate, they will have a deductible that is $500 more than your preferred level if they've got individual coverage, and $1,000 more than preferred if they have family. Okay, so the intent of this is not to say that the district is going to have a $2,600 or a $2,000 deductible next year, but it's to say whatever we set the deductible to be based on budget, your deductible would be, $5,000 or $1,000 more. Okay. Any questions?
That's for
on that?
employees that would choose not to participate in. It's a pretty minimal effort to do the online assessment.
It is.
I have that with Health Partners. It's easy. It's
easy.
minutes.
It's probably 10 or 15 minutes. It's
Yes.
confidential online. It does allow you to put in your numbers like your blood pressure, your cholesterol, things of that nature, and it will help to drive you toward a program that will help you to address some concerns, or you can self-refer.
So it gives the members a number of different opportunities to promote a healthier lifestyle.
True. That is true.
Now, some of these, in order for this to continue, they require you to go in and say a goal, and I've accomplished it. Is that what, does this do that?
This is not an outcomes-based program. It's a participation-based program.
So they do have to do that, say, I'm going to do something, and go in every now and then and say I'm doing something?
Yeah, there are several different programs. So it could be a tracking program, which is, I think, what you're talking about. So I could track my steps, for example, if I wanted to do a 10,000 steps, or I could periodically track my sleep or my intake of food over an 8-week period of time. You could also do phone coaching if you wanted. Somebody could work with a phone coach on personal issues. You can do some mental health programs online. So there are several different options.
And Stacy, didn't you mention that if you have a Fitbit, there is a way to download and actually track your Fitbit, and so your Fitbit would actually.
Yeah, so some
if
folks
you
are doing
want
things
to
now that
be
would
really
already qualify. That's a good point. If they have a Fitbit, they can sync it with the Health Partner system so it will automatically track for them. Or if somebody's using a frequent fitness program where they're going to a health club 12 or more times per month, that would qualify as well. Yep. So the proposal is that we would invite employees who are participating on your health plan to take advantage of this in year 1. But we do think in year 2 or 3, it would be a good idea to invite spouses to participate as well in order to earn that incentive, because they are having an impact on your claims costs too. Any questions on this? All right, then. Did you? Oh, no. Bless you. All right, let's talk about dental. So your dental plan has seen an increase in claims as well. You might recall that we are in an agreement right now with Health Partners. We actually had a multi-year flat rate, so we haven't had an increase since we implemented the plan with them, but we are going to see an increase of 14% for the 2017 plan year. This is 14% for 2017, no increase for 2018, so essentially it's a 2-year deal if you accept it. And you can see the financial impact to both the district based on that 88% contribution, and then the impact to staff. Any questions? Well, the great news comes on the next slide. When we talk about vision, disability, basic and voluntary life plans, all of those rates are fixed. You will not see an adjustment until 2018 on disability and life, potentially. I mean, it's not a guarantee. Hopefully, we'll be able to keep rates flat, but you won't be subject to an adjustment for 1 more year and then 2 years on the vision. Anything you'd like to add? No? Okay. Any questions?
I kind of do.
Okay.
Well, you said extending it for on the first page and keeping it at the 9%.
So we're in the middle of
I'm
an
sorry.
agreement right now where we have a 9% cap for 2017. If we extended through the 2018 plan year, that would reduce the increase in 2017 to 7% and give you a cap of 9% for the 2018 plan year where you don't have a cap currently.
So, but the 2018-19 would be
A
up
9%.
to 14%?
A 9% cap. So it's the second bullet point under recommendations.
I guess I'm trying to read because on here it has the 14%, so I'm confused.
You're under dental.
Oh.
Sorry. So if you flip to the first page, yeah,
That's
the
what-
cap on the medical would be 9% for the 2018 plan year.
Got it. That was my concern. I'm
Okay.
like, wait, it says 14.
Any other questions?
So our current plan, our current deal is to what, June 2018?
Your current agreement is to June 30th, 2018.
So then we're going to go another year to 2019
Right.
with this plan. Yep.
If you decide to extend. You don't have to extend, but then you would be accepting a 9% increase this year.
Now, previously, and then just something that we should probably consider and talk later, we were talking about rolling more towards the high deductible health. I don't know if this is really helping us go towards the HSA so that people can.
Stacy, you want to talk a little about
Sure.
HSA? Because we talked about design changes, plan design changes, if we were in a position where we had to cut money in the budget for next year with our deficits. Go ahead.
So one of the things that we talked about in previous years and that we did look at this year is either changing how the district funds premiums. So, for example, for the district to determine what they will pay based on the HSA plan. And if people chose to participate in the traditional, they would pay the difference. We also looked at getting rid of that traditional plan altogether. But I think the decision was made based on what had been budgeted that they would forego doing either one of those things until next year. And then look at in 2018, so beginning with the 2018 plan year, for getting rid of the traditional plan, potentially. Is that right?
It is still an option.
It is still an
Away
option.
from the traditional plan, 100% after next year. Currently, we decide to leave it alone, leave it as is, but we could phase it out or just go to entirely DHSA.
So it is an option to consider.
Do we know what the breakdown is today between traditional plans?
There are 55 employees participating in the traditional plan with a mix of singles and families. There are 97 employees participating on that high deductible health plan. So it is the majority. So a total of 152 employees altogether.
I think something easy to remember is the first year it was done, it was about half and half.
Mhm.
And then this current year, about half of those on traditional switched to the HSA. So
Yeah.
is it about 25% then?
Right.
That are still on traditional?
Mhm.
So this is ones we can still consider and talk about? Perfect.
It's an action item.
This is an action item?
I guess we could delay to the next meeting next week if we do need a decision relatively soon because we're being a month ahead.
Well, we can, I'll see if there's a motion to start, to accept this.
I'll make the motion to accept this at long range. If we're looking at 18%, because of our usage going up, it's probably smart money to lock in what we can right now.
I would agree.
And hopefully in 2 years, our usage drops somewhat, and we can, our next bump isn't as bad.
We have been focusing a lot on education about consumerism, and the wellness, I think, will help.
Yeah,
The
so-
traditional
Hold on just a
plan
sec.
is.
So did you second it?
Well,
There's a motion.
you
Is there
may-
a second?
I would second it,
Okay,
yes.
now we
Okay.
can discuss it.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So I was just going to say, when we look at claims, the higher utilized plan is the traditional plan. So in time, it would probably be to your benefit not to have it.
Which is why I would have liked to have discussed that before it was in action.
Well, we're going to discuss
Well, we
it
can
now.
discuss. Well, if we approve it tonight, we're protecting ourselves from a potential, 18% increase?
The maximum increase this year is 9%.
This year, but next year,
Next year, if you extended the agreement,
It would
the
be
cap
9.
would be 9.
yes.
Yeah. And then this year
But
would
it could be
reduce to
18
Yeah,
if we don't extend
If we
it.
don't accept.
Could be.
Yeah, and that's
What is the
what I would-
present? I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, I guess that would be my fear. I'd like to stay away from that
Yep.
potential.
But what is the present deductible for, let's say, family?
On the high deductible health plan,
Mm-hmm.
it's $5,200.
So if they don't do the health and well-being, we're going to go to 6,200?
Yes. Assuming that is still your plan design. You would have the opportunity to make plan design adjustments next year. So for example, if because of budget reasons you needed to change that $2,600 plan to a $3,000 deductible, then those that didn't participate would have a $3,500 deductible for single, and instead of having a $6,000 family deductible, they'd have a $7,000. So whatever you set as your preferred benefit, not necessarily that $2,600, they would pay the $5 or $1,000 more in deductible expense.
And that would be only if they choose not to participate in taking a half hour out of their year to promote healthy lifestyles.
That would be if they did not fulfill the requirements of the
Yeah.
program. So the health assessment and then the program, which could be 8 weeks of tracking or some
Right.
online learning or coaching.
Yep, okay.
And I think a little bit of the behind the scene thought was because we were able to get to 7 by leaving the 2 plans in place, it still gives those people that are on the traditional plan, they haven't moved over there yet because for the most part, those are the people that an HSA isn't going to probably be a savings for different reasons, typically high prescription costs. So we were hoping that this would be the year to say, we're able to do it now, but know that that traditional is probably going to go away. This is probably your last year of a traditional plan. Start educating yourself, start understanding how HSAs work, because more than likely there's going to be a change next year, and especially if our usage doesn't go down and we need to make some plan design changes. And so it was kind of in our thought process of still helping some of those people who a traditional is still better for them, even if we were able, because we were able to get that 7% and kind of give them, this is your last year, you're kind of warned, start understanding HSAs. a little bit of the thought behind it.
Thank you.
But if we do this, do we have an option later to change that 500 and 1,000 for the wellness situation?
Yeah, your wellness incentive can be changed, and we're not, I mean, you don't necessarily need to make a decision today on what that incentive will be. I think more of what we're concerned about it is whether or not there is approval to implement a health and well-being program where you would invite folks to do an assessment and a program. And then whatever the board decides that differential will be, we would just need to know before we educate staff on what that is.
I mean, theoretically, I can't debate or discuss the plan itself, but I can discuss the theory behind it. Theoretically, we could, again, what's the deductible right now for a family?
$5,200 on your high
So theoretically,
deductible.
we could keep the deductible at $5,200 and actually make it a $4,200 if we wanted to by taking that $1,000 off, correct?
Well, you could, but it would
I'm
be a
just
cost
saying,
to the
it doesn't
district.
mean there's all kinds of different ways that we can manipulate
if
that
you
a
had
year
the
from now. It doesn't
funds.
have to be that we raise a $1,000 deductible, which I don't know if that's a smart idea right now. I don't know if we need to today.
Which is my
Yeah.
biggest
so-
It's just a way to get people to
Right.
engage in the program
I
so
think-
that we can help them to be healthier in the long run.
Theoretically, I have to be real careful where I go with this, but theoretically, I wouldn't mess with anything right now. There's just not a need. We've messed with that.
I have no
retirement.
problem. Yeah, I have no
Yeah.
problem putting the health and well-being in there. Really, it's the additional deductible is where I'm having the issues.
Okay. And remember, that wouldn't come into play until
Yeah, we're not
2018.
even, that's not even been decided.
So we can
tonight.
change that.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what she said, that you can change that.
Because it
yeah.
was in here, so that's why I'm like,
And-
I don't want that to be set.
And that additional deductible for the wellness program would only happen if they don't participate in some activity,
Yeah.
right? So it's all, so any employee would have the opportunity to do something to avoid that $500 or $1,000.
It took me 20 minutes, and we had to do it for our spouse.
Yeah,
So it's
right,
just- it was pretty easy. And it's all on my, again, not debating it, just on it for information. It's because I'm on that plan. It's all self-reporting. I don't have to check in three
Yeah.
times during a year or anything. There's no. It's just it's an assessment at the beginning of the year. It says here's some areas you might want to fix yourself in. What one do you want to pick? We picked one. They said, attaboy, and I'll talk to you next year. That's pretty much how simple it was.
Right.
And as you can see, it hasn't worked.
But the goal is that it will work.
Someday.
Depends on what you pick.
Did you have a question?
Okay. Are there any more questions on that? Okay. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And I'll abstain. So motion carries.
Thank you.
Dale?
Thanks, Stacy.
Please make that a note in the record. Okay. All righty. Next is
Next is the HRA amendment and handbook update. I guess the short and sweet version of this is that we are making a recommendation to add to the compensation, certified staff compensation benefits portion of the handbook, a post-employment HRA requirement, but rather to add a death benefit for an active employee. Currently, there's no language that addresses that, so we would like to implement that, and there was a document, a plan document change that had to be completed. We worked on that with our third-party administrator, EBC, and Kyle and I worked on that with their representatives. We did all the plan document changes and are recommending to the board that this death benefit for active employees be implemented May 1st.
just for the benefit of the camera. What does that mean?
Essentially, what it means is that a certified teacher currently working, if someone passes away while they're working now, that means that the $1,500 annual contribution to their account on behalf of the district, or by the district on behalf of the teacher, goes into account and accrues interest. And then there's also at 10 years, $5,000, at 15 years, $5,000, and unused sick leave contribution at the end of, at 50
unused days. And
unused days.
at
Every 50 unused days, there's a contribution that goes into that as well. And so currently, to be eligible, a member, an active employee has to have 15 years to be vested and be age 56. So this basically means that someone who dies as their active employee, the spouse or dependents would receive all of those contributions rather than it going back to the district.
Okay, good.
And I need to note that it's a spouse or a legal IRS dependent.
Right. Yep.
And that's stated when you initially set up this HRA. Your beneficiary is already set in there as you set it up, but I just wanted to make that clear.
Okay. Can we get a motion to accept that?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Got the personnel items up there. I don't think there's a need to go back into closed session. We went through these. So I can take a motion to accept these requests, resignations, and new employees.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
For all of them.
For all of them? Okay.
I'll second.
And a second? Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
And just for the record, I will abstain from voting on this.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Now I can take a motion to adjourn, unless there's anything else I'm missing. Motion to adjourn?
Yep.
Keith, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.